Hello. So we've got another great Hearts of Iron 4 YouTuber here, and you're now going to be the third person that I interviewed on this podcast. And I have a very important question to ask you.
Go for it.
I've never asked anyone this question before. Coffee or tea?
Good question. Suppose coffee. It's probably like if I had to pick one or the other, I'd probably go for coffee. Like I do occasionally drink tea in that, but yeah, I'm a coffee drinker.
All right. Us guys in the States are rubbing off on you. I'm glad to hear that you're a fellow.
Oh yeah, we drink a ton of coffee up here. Like coffee's like a huge Canadian thing.
What's your brand?
Mine, I actually buy a blend from Starbucks, Northern Blend, I think it's called, or True North, I think actually.
We are really rubbing off on you if you're going Starbucks. I love it.
Yeah, I mean it's just good, you know.
I do the this is probably gonna go over your head. I do the green bag, the Kirkland bag from Costco, which is Starbucks.
Oh, is it? Okay. Interesting.
They just resource it and then put the Costco brand name on it, basically.
I wonder if it's the same blend that I have.
House blend. That's what this is called. So I would have no idea unless I tasted what you're drinking.
Because, yeah. There are different like versions of the things they have, right?
A little off topic, and then we're going to get into the Hearts of Iron 4 stuff here, but I have recently, like, it's mattered a lot to me, the coffee versus tea subject, because I've been doing like MRE videos, and the tea is always fantastic, and the coffee is terrible. And that's like the most surprising thing about MREs.
So what's your opinion then on kettles in tanks?
Kettles and tanks.
Because apparently that's a must-have for a modern British tank these days. A kettle like inside the hull.
I would say that would be a must. I mean, I'm assuming if it's a English tank, like they're not going to be drinking coffee. But if it's an American tank, they're probably drinking fresh coffee in there, and all you need is the electricity to heat the water. You don't really need an open flame or anything. Or are they using gas, or are they just using the electricity?
I honestly, that's as much as I know about that fact. I couldn't even tell you which models have it and which ones don't, but I know that it was a problem at some point for the British Army, and they solved it by putting a kettle in the tank because crews were leaving to make tea, and that's not always the best idea.
Yeah, I've actually read some of the accounts of like German tank leaders, and they always talk about like you're in the tank the whole time. You go to the bathroom in the tank, you do everything in the tank. All right, let's get into some of the Hearts of Iron 4 content stuff here. The coffee or tea thing was my genius 1000 IQ idea for an icebreaker there.
It's a good icebreaker, yeah. Most people have an opinion on it, right?
For sure, but being an American, I gotta go with the coffee. I do like tea though. Tea is a close second.
Yeah, my biggest problem with it, I'll say this one more thing or last thing here, is like it's just not enough caffeine. So in the morning, I need a little bit more. So I need to have like many teas if I had to combat that.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. The flavor of the tea is also very pleasant. But yes, I drink the coffee more for the rugged, hit of caffeine, and the flavor just like wakes you up. All right, so let's get into the Hearts of Iron 4 YouTube, Twitch content creator. And what is the backstory? I'd like to know like what got you into Hearts of Iron 4 content creation, and what was the evolution of your channel?
Oh wow. So what got me into Hearts of Iron 4 content creation? So that's kind of like my original plan wasn't to do HOI4 stuff. Like I had no idea that I would have a channel like that, taught people how to play HOI4. For years I was making videos like just sort of like long let's plays. They're all private now. You're not where like, just me and a friend would play a game. Probably the closest thing to the content I used to do is I did leave up one video. If you scroll down to the bottom there, not treachery. That's probably the closest thing to what I used to make. Yeah, so it would be sort of like I would just put up like gameplay stuff, like me and my friends, or we'd do things like that, and I would get the videos would get like 5-10 views, and so I would post those like probably about a dozen or so a year, and I did that for many years. And then one day I just as a joke, I made a video to sort of like as a poking fun at the idea that like there had to be fixed templates in HOI4, and that video might actually be there. I may have privated it. I can send it to you later if I do have it, but essentially it's just like the best templates in HOI4, and it was just like like your standard 40 width tank and like the 7.2s and there was just like sort of jokes in between them. Like when I first posted it, it got the regular 10 views, and all of a sudden, probably like three or 4 months in, I started getting a bunch of emails because I don't know if you still do this. If I get a comment on one of my videos, I get an email sent, and I have it set up so that way, so that every time I get a comment, I get an email. And I was just getting a bunch of emails to my YouTube account, and I'm like, oh, take a look, and like all of a sudden this video had like 1,000.
So was this kind of like, you're like, oh, people want this content, so that kind of started snowballing for you? Or
well, yeah, so at first I did that, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll make another one like that. And it was also poking fun of like the HOI4 stuff, but people didn't get the joke because it was very deadpan. Like the humor was like, I'll send them to you. I think I have them private now because they don't really work that well with the channel, but people didn't get the joke. So they were like literally like, oh wow, thanks for the tips. I didn't know I could make tanks with like this, and oh, how do you do this? Oh, you go down mobile warfare and you don't need as many motorized. Wow. And then I realized there was kind of like an appetite for tutorial content. So I made a few tutorial videos. It's unfortunate that you can't go by. Oh, you can go by latest. Go down latest and then scroll down to the bottom. You might be able to find the first ones that I did. Yeah, so I did one on organization, and then movement, and then recovery rate. And so these videos just took off.
Curious. So is your YouTube channel, did you turn on monetization? Because all of your videos are less than 8 minutes.
Oh yeah, you can still play ads on them, and sometimes you also have the sidebar ads. I don't make a whole lot from them. Yeah, I don't make a whole lot from monetization on YouTube, but it does. I do guess like a little bit.
Yeah, I know it's not a very like discussed topic, but yeah, I'm like a big finance guy, and then like I obviously don't make much on YouTube either, but all the money that I've made, which is only a few $1,000s, like I bought like a better mic so that I can make better YouTube videos, like stuff like that. Just kind of trying to invigorate the channel as I go along here. And actually, I did want to give you a shout out here, because you're the one who turned me on to Pydgin Live. And when you want to become a YouTuber, you usually just watch YouTube videos on like how to do it. And they all tell you like, don't spend money on video software or video editing software. The Pydgin Live that you told me about is fantastic. It has way more things than I could ever, figure out to use, and it was free. So thank you very much for that, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem. That's the one that I used to use up until probably around the time that this channel started taking off. And so I switched over to DaVinci Resolve. That's what I'm using currently. But Pydgin Live is really good for if you're just doing quick edits. It doesn't use a whole lot of like your computer's resources. So if you're trying to like edit a video on like a laptop or something, I want something like that. It doesn't have as many tools as I would want now. So DaVinci Resolve is free to use. It's owned by this company, Blackmagic. They sell camera equipment and stuff like that, and like as a way to draw people into their company, they just release editing software for free. And it's like it's shocking that it's free. It's kind of like up there with like Blender or something, but just imagine that for video editing.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stay with Pydgin for now, just because I don't want to have to learn something new. But actually, this UI looks like Pydgin Live, so I could probably pick it up pretty easy now.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some like crossover in that. It's there's a feature called Fusion in it. Yeah, you're looking at it now, where you can do like nodes and things like that. And so it's really easy to see like all the transitions in a clip or in a scene. And that's one of the reasons why I really like it. It does have a bit of a learning curve to it initially, but then Fairlight. I mean, I don't use a whole lot of that for color correcting because we play video games, but and like the audio and.
Well, what I struggle with, and my viewers have told me that it's actually very easy, is the audio levels. So I'll have to ask you about that later, but I've been playing around. I could get it ballpark now on Caden Live, but I'm getting better. It's definitely, I'm self-taught, obviously, so it's going to take a while.
Something that you might find helpful is if you use OBS to record.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can actually split your audio tracks. So your mic can be on one thing, your game can be on something else. And you can also set it up so like if you had like YouTube on something, or like you had music, you can put that music on a different audio track. So when you're editing, you can actually go through and just delete all that music. Mic. Or let's say I'm coming through on Discord and let's say I was a little too high or something and you wanted to turn me down, you would have a separate track. And that would make it a lot easier in the editing phase.
That makes sense. Like all the mixer sources on OBS, I'm looking at them right now. That totally
you can
makes
add
sense.
Extra sources. I can send you some links in that. It's actually a quick Google, like how to add extra, separate mic track from, you'll find something.
Okay, cool. So I'll look into that. That definitely comes in handy for like live streams in case the chat wants to listen to music. You could separate that out.
Yep. Yeah. And not only that, you can record separate stuff from what you're streaming, which is amazing. So you can record, you could have music playing like some sort of like free to use playlist, and then you could be recording just the gameplay on one track and then your mic on one track, and you're not even bothering with the music on, you know?
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, OBS has got some nice things to start looking at the plugins. And
well, we were talking about free software, and it's like,
there you go.
you know, it makes you think that the software developers, like, you know, if you make something that's quintessential, like that everyone's using, like OBS, all you really need to do is have a few monetized offerings inside of it. And if you get a few thousand people purchasing those offerings, then it turns into a lot of money for sure. Now we know kind of like what you use for editing. Like, what is your creative process? Like, you also stream on Twitch. Can you tell us, like, first off, like, what are you doing on Twitch in terms of content so that our audience knows? And then, like, what are you trying to do on YouTube?
Okay, so yeah, I'll start with Twitch. So I stream most Saturdays. For the most part, I'm just playing HOI4, going through just kind of like what I would do to play like for fun. Usually it's a lot of like playthroughs or challenges or sometimes achievements. In fact, sometimes I do multiplayer, but it's not that often. So that's like normally the idea behind what I do on Twitch. Yesterday, actually, I played with Alex the Rambler community. I don't know if I should spoil it. I do have a special video coming out for it soon. So okay, I don't show it there.
Oh, you don't show it here on Twitch, or
no. So the last video is there, the VOD that you see up there on the left. There is a surprise to it, so just don't. Yeah, thank you. So I played as a Soviet main, but there's a little bit of a twist because it was April Fool's. Yeah, but normally that's what I do. Just sort of like it's an excuse to play. Like you know, it's like I can set it a block of time and actually like not feel like I'm completely wasting my time playing a video game because I'm also streaming, right? I also do this thing where I have a Twitch integration bot, which no one else has this. This is a custom developed. So on the first Saturday of every month, with the exception of this month, you can join my chat and integrate and use channel points to influence my game. So there's things like you can rename countries, you can change the country flag, you can add or remove like manpower, command power, XP, sort of things like that. And you can also like launch nukes. So yeah, that's sort of what we do over on Twitch. Yeah, and occasionally I do some modding, but it's not.
what have you modded?
So we're normally working on that bot, but I am also working on a testing mod to help like if you're trying to like find out whether or not a division's good or something. Like, and I don't know if you've done this, but like when you open up the console and you give yourself like all the massive assault doctrine or something, then you want to reset that, you have to like either tag to another country or something, or you just can't clear it like once you have a tech. I'm making like a bot that actually does that for you. I've made a mod that can do that for you. It also, I have a feature in it where you can deselect tactics. So like you have tactics and they like roll randomly, and so you're trying to test something, but like you always have that little bit of RNG. Well, I've made it so that I can disable that in HOI4 now. So yeah, we want stuff like that.
Dude, that is kick ass.
Yeah, and so that's like something that I'm like looking to expand on, and I'll probably eventually put it onto the workshop. But
have you found anything juicy that you are willing to share about the tactics?
No, but I may have videos coming out soon. I'm working on kind of a big batch processing that's I want to get out there very soon.
So are you willing to talk about this April Fool's game? Like, I'm just curious about the format because you're very like short form type of
Mhm.
guy. Like, so is this
Yeah,
going to be
so
like your standard like 20 to 30 minute let's play or?
yeah, so I actually do have it edited, 14 minutes, but it's not going to be my typical format. I'm hoping to get out a couple short videos this week, and then this is going to be like sort of a special, just like a special thing. I'm hoping to announce. Well, I guess I could do it here. I'm going to be making a second channel where I show some of that play content that I've done on Twitch and that I've recorded elsewhere. So I'm going to do sort of the typical 10 to 20 minute, maybe a little even shorter, if I can get away with it, type videos where, you know, I'm playing through it. And so look out for that.
Dude, I love it. You've got to be like some sort of engineer because you are so like fastidious about everything about your channel. Like I really admire it. Like you stick to like a certain format with your YouTube channel, and I struggle in that regard because if I get an idea in my head that I want to show people, like it could be a 2 hour long video or a 1 minute video, I just do it. So I don't think it works well with the YouTube algorithm because they're like the YouTube algorithm wants you to know what you're doing and who they can cater it to. And if you're making all different types of content, it's not going to be able to figure that out as well. So I'm glad that you're going to make a new channel here. That's super exciting.
Yeah. So the plan is to post this video on the regular Pydgin channel as sort of an advertisement for the next one for the other channel. So it's going to be like a special. But yeah, I am a web developer, which is it's not quite an engineer, but like it's sort of close to that. Like in terms like I do like develop stuff quite a bit, and so that's why I'm like not shy from modding or anything.
I mean, that makes sense though. You're very regimented about like your website and how you present your website. So that actually makes perfect sense. Like an engineer could not do what you do on YouTube, I feel.
Yeah, I mean there's some engineering channels out there, like
or at least it would be very challenging. They could do it, but I'm just saying it would be very challenging for just like an average engineer to like come up with all the you know spit and polish that you have to your channel.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a good point. I think like I'm quite picky with content, so like I'll get quite far into the process of a video and I'll be like, this isn't good enough, this needs something else, or I just don't like it. So yeah, I tend to get held up with like it could be a little bit better, and yeah.
Well, I think it's great. I think what you're doing is great. I'm the exact opposite type of content creator, and talking with you and you helping me out over the last year or so, like, has really improved my channel and then pulled me more to the center instead of just like shoot from the hip. Like, you know, I have something to say. We're just going to say it. Like, but still, I still don't like script any of my stuff. For like these podcasts, I write down some questions and we just go from there. I tried doing scripted videos and I just couldn't do it. Like I'm telling you, like it was like going from playing basketball to playing football or something. It was like completely different skill sets, apparently.
Yeah, I found when I initially did it, I found it very awkward. I didn't like it, but I knew that I like on the fly, I can't just, you know, be like elegant and say exactly what I want to say, but I know that I can write it. I can write down what I want. So I sort of through that process, I ended up forcing myself into getting better at recording lines and going through all that. And I mean, honestly, man, it's all smoke and mirrors. Like a lot of what I do is editing. Like it's not that I'm like great at saying or, you know, speaking quickly and getting all my things. It's like, dude, I'll have to do a line over like 10 times. Like easily 10 times. I some lines I'll have to do. Yeah, it's just all editing and all clean up.
See, that was my experience when I tried to go scripted, whereas now I kind of use the editing process to take out some of the pauses or the ums or like the background noise and then make it a more, you know, a better piece of content. But I mean, what's so great is that once you have the finalized product and it gets 100,000 views, you know, that like we've been able to do, you know, it just shows you like the end product is what matters, not how you got there necessarily. So I think however you can arrive at making things that people want to consume, I think that that's great. So
and that's a big part about YouTube. We were talking about the difference between like the Twitch content and YouTube content. Like Twitch is much more, you can just kind of hit live and go, and people will be like happy to show up and hang out or whatever. But with YouTube, they want a show or they want a finished product. Even when going live, like I've gone live a few times on YouTube, and I do quite well. I do considerably better on YouTube going live. But the problem is YouTube wants something specific. Like the audience has an I like they're not there to just hang out. Like you can't really do that there. Yeah. So these are the ones that I've left up, and yeah. If you come to YouTube with the show though, you'll get the positive results and you know all that. But otherwise, yeah, I see it. You see this a lot too. If you look for other Hearts of Iron 4 streamers on YouTube, like people just playing, they don't get many views. Like there's a few exceptions who like a Korean guy and I think a couple Turkish people, they get quite high views on YouTube. But all the English speaking YouTubers, I don't know any English speaking YouTuber who consistently goes live on Twitch or on YouTube versus Twitch. They're all over on Twitch. Yeah, so like we could go look now. Don't know if there's, can you search by category on Twitch or on YouTube? Yeah, here we go.
This is gaming, so no one knows about this, and you have to research this quite a bit. There's
gaming,
a way to
get though, isn't there?
There's gaming that will have a live category. Here it is, top live games. However, the top live games are just like whatever.
Hearts of Iron 4, yeah.
Hearts of Iron 4 is not going to show up if you scroll down this list.
I think you can find it if you search
on YouTube Gaming.
I'm gonna see here. There's a way to get to,
usually it only shows
so if you go to the topic.
See, this is the problem. Everyone
it's
that
so hard
wanted
to find.
To get there was like already stopped, and now they're watching Roblox or something. But like,
yeah,
my point is, I just went into Roblox. Okay. If you go on to Twitch, you go into the top category and it's Roblox but on Twitch, there's going to be some dude that's got 5K views. Well, let's see. Top dog here is 1.8K, like half.
I mean, those would be great numbers for HOI4.
It doesn't, it's not optimized for live streaming, and it is exactly what you said it was. You got to have a show prepared, and as soon as you hit go, there can't be any gaps. And my spoken word videos where, you know, before I was even editing, like people would just like, people in the comments are brutal, and it's just like, you can't talk. And it's like, no, I probably talk as well as anyone else, but everyone else is so spit and polished, and it's just not the right content for you. So it's okay. Like, yeah, you don't get it. But yeah, that is, I'm waiting till the day they've started making the live shelf and everything like that. I'm waiting to for the day when they fix that live category or that gaming category to where people want to go to that category on YouTube and watch us play, just like they would in the Hearts of Iron 4 category on Twitch. And then at that point, YouTube will be like an everyday live streaming thing. Like, I'm just going to hit record and play whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I swear there was a way to actually find live. Here it is, features live. Okay, so I did find it. So there is a way to do it. So what you do is you open up YouTube, you type in Hearts of Iron 4 in the thing here, and then you filter by, there's a filters, and then hit live features, and so there's no one streaming it right now. Oh, there's one. There you go. So yeah, see what I mean? So it's like if you wanted to watch a live stream on Hearts of Iron 4, you already have to, or on YouTube, you have to have your audience ready. You can't just like grow.
It's all through notifications, basically.
Yeah, and so if you have 0 subscribers, you have 0 viewers, or you have 1 viewer because it's your laptop open beside you, right? Like,
but they did not subscribe to your channel for live streams. They saw a video, and that's what they subscribed on. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just explaining
for us. Yeah,
exactly. The depths for like a YouTuber to go from videos to live streaming. They didn't see you live stream and like, I like live streams and I like seeing Pydgin live stream. So that's not how they subscribe to your channel. So I feel like that's the huge disconnect, is they subscribe to your channel for your, you know, your main content, which is like short form guides.
Yeah. And what's funny is like people who get fairly large viewership bases, like on Twitch, where like I know there's a few Twitch streamers who consistently get like 30 to 50 views, which for HOI4 is pretty good. It's not like top 10 or anything, but yeah, that doesn't translate over to YouTube. So like if they were to edit down their content and post it, get like maybe 100. And I've seen it over and over again. And it's like, it's kind of sad, but.
So I've noticed the same thing. And I was just like noticing this. I was watching a streamer the other day who streams with Dr. Lupo. And I'm like, why? I go to her YouTube channel and there's like 1,000 subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, she's got 500 viewers on her live stream.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
it's like if you guys would all go over and sub today, you know, I'd have 1.5, and then tomorrow I'll ask again, and like, you know, like do it again, and it's like, but just people don't want that, right? Like they're there for what they want. Yeah. So it's quite late at night right now for like most of Europe where the player base is. So you're not gonna have too many viewers on now. But if you go to there's analytics pages.
What are we, Twitch stats, or what are we analyzing?
Yeah, Twitch tracker.
We're gonna look you numbers up, or Boken, or Dankus?
Yeah. So my stats are gonna be terrible.
I like looking at Dankus. Dankus's stats. That's my boy right there.
Yeah.
I'm a big Dankus fan. Okay, I'm pulling up Dankus's. What I've noticed about Dankus is that he has hours have gone down,
but the views have gone up.
No, I think the views have gone down as well. If you look at this,
no. Well, if you go to the link I provided.
Oh yeah, let me check that out.
This is a better one here. So you have your most followed, your most watched, and viewership's probably the bigger flex.
So we've got Tommy K, Boken, Marat, Engine, Ekin. This must be. Is he in English? I've never heard of him actually.
Turkish.
That's why I figured, because YouTube's like, you're not Turkish, so you're not going to watch any of this. So
these are Twitch metrics.
People want me to interview Stakui.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a good one to get.
Probably too small for him, but it'd be nice. He's got
So if you scroll down for a second, so a good example there is so he's 27th on Twitch, which like consistently like 50 viewers on Twitch, right? And on YouTube, so that's who comes to mind. I know like a lot of these people just don't even bother post. Like I don't know if you know a lot of the competitive people who play competitive HOI4, like El Bowser. They're like even Vido, or like a lot of these guys just don't really get any views on YouTube. It doesn't quite translate,
which is why like I kind of like look at your website and talk to guys like you, because it's a well polished thing. But yeah, we're talking about the different skill sets. The live streaming is completely a different skill set, and the ones that the Twitch streamers that have come over to YouTube, I think that there is a little man behind the curtain, basically, because when you see the big Twitch streamers come over, they're on contract. And YouTube, a private website that can just simply say, you're getting this notification, this is going to be on your homepage, because we have a good idea that this is what you want to see. And it'll be like Dr. Lupo, Dr. Disrespect, or Tim the Tatman, or whoever it is.
You know what's funny? I've never seen those people pop up. I think I've seen the last Tim the Tatman video I seen was probably 24.
Are they?
I think it's all just based on recommendations, but you might be onto something about the behind the curtain thing. I don't. I mean, I wish I had a little bit more info, but I'm wondering how much advertisement, like in terms of growth from certain ones, like certain creators, like if they are, like you mentioned, under contract, like are there any like specific people you can think of that would be under that, or like from HOI4?
From HOI4, I don't think there is any, but because you don't see him streaming, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I see what you mean, like as a live stream from, right? Yeah.
If you follow the views, you follow the money.
Yes. So the question always is like, how do you make YouTube, right? Like, so how do you, and YouTube's always trying to make the advertisers happy. That's how the money comes in, right?
You have a track record. Basically, you were on Twitch and you had 10,000 concurrents average. Then they know that advertisers will pay to watch you live stream. And you set up a contract between you and Google. However, Google on the back end is like talking to advertisers, and the advertisers are giving feedback to Google, which I would assume is giving feedback to the content creators saying, you know, you got to do this or that. And the main prime example is not from Hearts of Iron 4, but from Joe Rogan, because he talks about it not freely, but watch a lot of his content, and the times that he does talk about it, he explains that they call him up and tell him like we want you to figure this out or tone this down and do this or that. That's why he moved off platform to Spotify. But
see, here's the thing. I would love that. I would love someone to call me and be like, listen, if you want to double your views, stop saying the word war. Say kerfuffle. I would love someone to clarify that. Like, I don't care what it is. Like, whatever YouTube wants, let me know. But the fact that I don't know, but always got me on edge. Anytime you post something like, or write something or say something, it's like, I would love that phone call.
It's different because you're talking about what different advertisers don't want you to say in this case. If I go to Mr. Beast, so I just watched something and he said, like, everyone asked me what to do, like what type of videos to make. And he said, I'd be lying to all of you because I would tell you what I would do and not what you should do for your particular content type. So there's no way I can answer that question. We're going to play on this jet that costs. But in general, Hearts of Iron 4 channel is going to have a different advertiser on it than Mr. Beast. So you could even say that because, like, if your content is mainly like World War II video games, that's going to have a different advertiser than like what Mr. Beast is saying. So everything's like a completely different landscape. All right, so let's circle back around to Hearts of Iron 4. I'm just curious, what is your favorite nation to play in Hearts of Iron 4 and why?
Oh, I don't know if I have a favorite. I tend to switch around between like challenges, I guess. I don't know. I like the Soviets. They're a pretty good shout because there's a lot of options. I like Japan. I don't know.
I would say that Japan's got a lot of the toys.
Yeah, Japan's got a lot of toys. So does the UK. The UK is a pretty good option for that. But the historical path for the UK is kind of the most boring, I find. So it's a whole lot of just sit around and do nothing until, but what I like to play, smaller states where it's like this shouldn't happen, or like in my mind, like right now, if I were to like think of an example, it'd be like a Luxembourg trying to take out Belgium and then the Netherlands early. Like that would be a good example of a challenge that I'd like to do. It is a little bit embarrassing to like do those kind of things on stream or like in front of people because it's a lot of restarting. Anarchist Spain. I really like the alternative Spain paths. Like the Carlos is another really good one I like.
Did you ever try the anarchist thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've cored the world.
No way.
I've conquered the world and cored like most of it. I played till like the 70s with the anarchist Spain.
So you did the Tarrier thing. I think Tarrier did that.
I didn't follow his. It's funny because when I played it first time I did that, and I did that conquest. It was a little bit after the release of La Resistance, and I watched a feedback on how to exploit the peace deals. So I was able to do it that way, where you basically encircled all of you took over the UK except for London, and they would spawn troops in their capital, and you would just keep killing the troops off until you got a really high war score, and then I was able to annex and steal out France and the UK out of Germany's hands, and then it was like you could snowball from that point. The strat doesn't work anymore on the current version of HOI4, but
I think I saw that one because it was in the early days of the Spanish Civil War. You could exploit the templates to maximize the amount of equipment that started in your stockpile or something. So they fixed it.
I don't know if I did that, but I do recall the encircling London over and over again, or killing off the troops there.
Well, I mean, I would encourage you to, like, if you could do more of that format on, I guess that's what your new channel's for, you know?
So that's it. Like it doesn't work well on streams, I don't find. Basically, people come in and be like, you're a loser. You can't cap Belgium as Luxembourg. Like, right? And you're just like, okay, well, that's fine. And then like you'll restart and you'll watch your view count like go in half, and it's like, this is a fun experience, right?
Dude, I was gonna so I was talking to I did as I said, the Pillbox interview earlier today, and we're going through the Bulgaria focus tree. He's Bulgarian, and I almost said like we're going over the focus tree, and he's like, open this up. I'm like, what? You don't know this off the top of your head?
Yeah.
Like you don't know.
Do you not know this from Bulgarian history?
You can't remember found the Brannick? What do you're useless. Yeah. Like what? You don't remember what the strength in the royal dictatorship does? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I probably know the Canadian focus tree pretty well, but yeah, I get what you mean. I think the last time I played Bulgaria, I was like, listen, guys, I'll play Bulgaria. Because like I had a couple of viewers who were like really adamant about me playing it. So I'm like, you just tell me what focuses I'm taking and which decisions I'm doing and which parties I'm supporting or whatever. Like, because yeah, and honestly, I don't remember what I did. I think we cheesed it somehow where you could like get all the parties to like each other or something, or like be friendly, and you get all the buffs.
Yeah,
right. Because it's like this one here, you have to like support either like the fascist so and so, right? So.
Well, I'm assuming did you go for, this is what I asked Pillbox earlier. Did you go Ferdinand or you stick with Boris? What did you do?
I'm going to tell you, I don't remember. It was like a year ago. I probably have a video recording of it somewhere. Like, I could let you know like later, but yeah.
I don't know. In a historical multiplayer game, Bulgaria is like one of the spiciest countries because you're in a good spot on the map and you can get a lot of tech research done with like mech and stuff like that. You just can't get Bulgarian autarky because that takes away all of your resources. But otherwise, massive game impact for such a small nation.
Speaking of a country that I like to play, I do like to play France. A lot of people don't, and I'll play France in MP. Yeah, I think there's something about France that I like because it's like you're expected to lose, but there's always that chance that you can overcome all the odds, right? There's a little bit of hope. I don't know. There's something about France that I really like playing.
Well,
in single player, obviously you can hold like that's easy. Against a good Germany player, like you're always screwed. But that tasty moment, right? Like mid 39, thinking, I got so many tanks coming out. I could just encircle the Germans.
I mean, what I like about it is the focus tree build is probably different, but the way you set up your troops and your lines.
Yeah.
I made a video on it, but it should be fairly usable in multiplayer. So the way you actually do
the forest line there.
Yeah, your troop setup and the way you react to the AI would be the same as how you'd react in a multiplayer game. So it's kind of like really fundamental stuff that you're doing. So I agree. Like France is one of my favorites, which is kind of weird, but and the focus
so many people
hate powerful.
It. A lot of people hate to play for. It's you get beat up right every game.
There's something you could do with like their Commonwealth to just get like infinite manpower. You just bring everyone in the fold, and you can make an easy world conquest out of France. It's super fun.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's transition now into asking you the real beefy questions here. So, what is your current opinion of the state of HOI4, and then where do you see HOI4 going in the future here?
Current state, I mean, it's certainly better than it has been in the last few years. I do like the new approach that the devs are taking now with the small incremental updates. With the you're gonna have to remind me here, but they're the operations. What are they called?
It's just that it's the different operations.
Yeah, so they have the different operations. So essentially, they're releasing small updates to countries. So one country will get a small addition to one of their paths that was kind of maybe lacking. And they'll update a couple bugs. You probably see it at the top. Yeah. So initially, if you see how they were updating previously, it was like not very great. But like here, like October, November, December, like you're getting a lot more iterative stuff. Whereas like it wasn't always like that. It was DLC comes out, you get 2 patches. DLC comes out, you get 2 patches. DLC comes out, you know what I mean? Like so it's a lot better. Yeah. War effort they call it. I'm liking the way that they're doing. It's great because it's kind of like it's iterative development, right? They have chance to fix bugs. They have chances to, put in a little bit more that into the base game that's not necessarily attached to a DLC, right? So where HOI4 is going in the future, I don't know. I know there's a lot of not rumors, but there's like speculation that like there's going to be another designer, right? So it's like everyone's calling it the thing that the infantry designer is going to be next. There's like a big mod that came out quite recently that has that feature. So a lot of people are like, oh, the next DLC, like
Is that Black Ice?
I know. I think Black Ice did have it. I'm not too sure. I'd have to look it up, but I think actually it's not because I did see in vanilla. If you give me a second to Google something, I will.
So while you're Googling that, I do think that's the next designer. They do seem to be on this development trend of making different designers. I can't really think of what else they would want to design. I guess you could conceivably start making the variants of mech that you see in World War II. Like they put bigger guns on all sorts of mechanized flatbeds. Just put like AA on that, and then boom, you've just got something that can just give you fire superiority. Or the Americans with their half tracks, you know, putting some of the bigger like anti-tank weapons on that was highly effective, even though they are in effect glass cannons. If you have a first strike effect, it doesn't matter because, you know, hopefully you don't get shot at first.
I mean, the vehicle there is to get the gun into place, right? Like that's really what it is.
Yeah, you fire from a cloaked position.
Yeah, they could have mech and motorized. Yeah, that might be a way to go. Because there would, like, I mean, think about it, like Jeeps, right? But like how they had like a little package thing where, like, you know, a World War II Jeep came in a box, right? And like they would unpack it and assemble it, so you could have like, you might be able to upgrade mech, right? So if you like were to do research that, I often get confused between mods, like what you can upgrade and what you can't, but I think mechanized can be upgraded the way that tanks used to be able to be upgraded.
Yeah, it's the old style. But conceivably, you could have truck, you know, any equipment
armored
type,
cars,
the infantry weapon itself.
Yeah, or like the artillery variant, the tank variant, or the anti-tank.
Yeah, and you kind of
like a smooth bore and a rifled bore. Like you could have variations on that. You could have like sizes of artillery, right? Because like when you research an artillery piece, it's just like, oh, you get a bigger one. Oh, you get a bigger one. Oh, you get a bigger one.
Well, what I do with that is I tend to just keep the production efficiency high. So if I get a bigger artillery piece and I want to actually build it, then I just start a new production line and then start with a fresh mill because I don't want to ruin my productivity base.
Like, you know, you could have a designer for that give you the option to custom. Like, I mean, potentially what they honestly don't know though. So don't quote me on any of this.
What is the next host of countries that you see being added to a DLC? What part of the world?
Next, I don't know if it's going to be next, but I know they're going to. I'm 100% positive through pure speculation that eventually they will add a Scandinavian or Nordic pack. That's probably the one area that, you know, kind of needs some love that hasn't gotten any. And it's kind of weird coming from a Swedish company, right? The Middle East there was quite a bit of stuff that happened like with Iraq and Iran that's really not really in the game. So I could see like a Middle East package or DLC. Like something that would update like Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, maybe.
Exactly what you said. Exactly what Pillbox said.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Those two areas of the world. Well, he mentioned South America as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Obviously, next would be South America. Like, but the only real major thing I could think of is in South America would be Brazil. Because they did send a division at the end of the war, but they like no South American country really had any other involvement in that. You know what I mean? So when like Argentina or Venezuela joined, it was like the war was over kind of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But there was a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East where there's like forces coming out of Iraq in different areas.
I mean, Iran got invaded and occupied by the British and the USSR, right? They split the country basically. And they invaded or they had Iraq, right? So Iraq had some involvement too. So there's quite a bit of history in that area, right? Because the British wanted that area just in case, right? They wanted to prevent it from going into the Axis hands.
Oh yeah, the oil's down there and everything, and that's know mainly what North Africa was fought over. And it was like interesting that you mentioned that because like Bitter finds the whole North Africa campaign kind of silly, which it is because of what the Axis is going to lose when they go down there. But yeah, there is the oil in Iraq, but in the context that you're going to fight a land war in Asia, after you've already invaded North Africa, that's kind of like, I would do one or the other, but not both at once.
Yeah. And I mean, like that's how we would play it, right? Like with our perspective. But if you think of like what Italy were to gain if they were to grab Egypt, right? And the Suez and having control of the Mediterranean, right? You can kind of see the motivations behind like the like historical leaders wanting these things. And HOI4, it does like that part of the world, like the Italy campaign is kind of lacking a little bit in HOI4. I think there could be more to that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've never thought of that before.
Yeah, like I mean, you can recreate it for like LARPing reasons, but like you're right, there is no strategic importance to it. There's no benefit to it other than like, oh, you can prevent the British from entering the Med from this side, but then you also have to grab Gibraltar, and then I don't know.
Well, I mean that this is what fascinates me from a fundamental perspective in playing Hearts of Iron 4 is that this was the greatest conflict of all time thus far, and the lunacy of some of the moves that were coming out, and then like the it captivates the historian from a historical perspective, because it's just like, well, what if they could pull it off? Well, it was like, well, they're not going to be able to pull it off, really. But what if they could?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those scenarios where the what ifs are, it's either you're overly optimistic or overestimating like the industrial capability of those certain states, or like if you change the scenario to be they aren't that particular ideology, then maybe you can. But it's like, yeah, but they weren't. They were the bad thing, right? Like they were going to do the bad thing, so they couldn't, inspire these people to switch because they were actively, doing the bad things.
Yeah, I think it just boils down to, unfortunately, a bunch of dictators and the dictator's ego, which there's a lot of things that happened before that person became a dictator to give them the want and desire to do all this stuff. And then from there, things really get wacky and start degenerating from there when power is concentrated like that in an individual group of people or like one person. That's where things really get bad with human history.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we can't like have a more nuanced discussion about this if you're going to post it.
Yeah, I think we stay out of the weeds there, but I study this stuff a lot. Like I posted members videos that like one of the members video that I just posted that no one's watched, by the way, none of my members are interested, was Lex Friedman talking to a psychologist about, some of the dictators and what their mentality was. What is the psychological problems with them from like the DSM-4 and like exactly. It gives a lot of nuance between their psyche and like their decision making, like why they made the decision. So enjoyed it. Lex Friedman podcast is great.
Yeah, I might have to check it out.
So let's transition again.
Sure.
And I want to ask you like more of a challenging question. You may have already answered this, I'm not sure, but what do you feel is the biggest mistake that you've made as a Hearts of Iron 4 content creator?
I think I probably, if I had to, I'm thinking about this now, like I put a lot more effort into the Twitch side of things when I haven't really seen much return in that. So I think YouTube is where potential value might be, even though with the short videos, they don't really return like monetary value. I think audience growth potential is there. So yeah, my biggest mistake was probably focusing a little bit too much on Twitch instead of just treating it as like a to do for fun. And that's, I think, how I'm probably going to be doing it in the future.
Yeah. Why do you think that YouTube is such a force multiplier? And
it's the algorithm, right? So if you can appease it, right, you can tick all the boxes, and if you can convince that thing that the audience wants to watch it, or if you can convince the audience to watch your videos, it just grows exponentially, right?
You're stuck in a category on Twitch, and someone's got to go hunt for you. Like when we were trying to find live streams on YouTube.
Yeah.
No, that totally, like I made a Twitch channel for a while, and then I decided to not live stream over there. I have many live streams that I silenced on YouTube because I just felt like it was all noise and entropy, and it was taking away my viewers' ability to see maybe some of the better content that perhaps they would want to see. And I don't want anyone to like have to sift through to try to find that needle in the haystack. So could you talk a little bit about that? Because my content strategy is very based on like looking at what you're doing, and like how concentrated you are is just very impressive.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't shy away from like privating videos, like if I don't like it or whatever. So, I mean, I'm looking here. So I have about, like publicly, I probably have around 30 or 40 videos, but I have double that private. And so, yeah, like if I have to re-upload a video or redo something, I'll do it. And if I don't like it, it doesn't get posted. And I do have some stuff coming out pretty soon. Like I have stuff written. have stuff recorded. I haven't been particularly happy with it until recently. So because I've actually, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've taken a little bit of a break in my content posting, in my uploads.
Would you like to share with your audience a little behind the scenes of like why the break, or maybe you can't? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I was just a little bit busy with work over sort of the holidays and that. And then I did have some time sporadically last few months, which I have been spending a lot of time on writing. I'm doing a lot of work like behind the scenes with like with that mod development for testing, and trying to get like real numbers beyond like, oh, this is in the define, and so this means this. So like the best fighter is sort of the question I'm trying to answer right now, and like probably gonna be my next video uploaded. So to answer that question, kind of hard to do in a minute. It's unfortunately with you know this with HOI4 is the answer is often it depends. So yeah. I think I cracked it. I think I have something ready for it. But yeah, so I've been held up with that because it's like some videos take like way too long to research and test. And I don't like to just rely on other people's data and just assume that this is this or this is the best way to do it. I want to see it in action. And if you're doing designs, there's like a lot of different variants. And that's the same thing with the ships. So I have a lot of data on chips. Yeah, and so that's sort of been the hold up because I've been kind of like, I want to do Navy videos and I want to do air videos, but I don't have the answer to confidently show it or prove it or explain it. Yeah, but I think I'm over that hump. And
I mean, I struggle with the same things, like balancing my leisure time with Hearts of Iron 4 with the fact that you can chase that holy grail of what is the best fighter design, or ship design or whatever. And I did ask Bitter about this, and I think me and Bitter decided that we're both just field players, and it's more of an observational study for us rather than a scientific one, if that's a good comparison. So you'd have like observational scientific studies that are like, I observed this in real life, and then there's the ones that get down into the weeds, like this number of fighters went up against this number of fighters and were built a certain way. I think that there's good things about both of them, and I think that the head-to-head fighter thing is going to tell you specifically information about attachments, but it's very hard to extrapolate that information to a playthrough, because every nation is set up differently. So
yeah, there's a lot of elements too beyond that you can kind of not control. Like weather is a big thing that's just completely random, and like situations happen, right, where it's like, oh, you can have this airport this one time, or maybe you got a bad roll with your ships, and then you got to go repair, and so now you're sitting in port for 2 weeks, right? There's just a lot of stuff like that don't really translate into the game. But the thing is with YouTube is, if you want the title that says this is the best blank in Hearts of Iron 4, kind of have to deliver. Otherwise, the HOI4 community does not like. A little upset. And I want those titles because those titles are the ones that get the views. Yeah. So it's a little bit of a catch-22. You just gotta do it, right? So.
Well, I feel like in that category, I have had misses. When Man the Guns, or I'm sorry, No Step Back came back. So that's the Barbarossa DLC.
Yep.
I tried heavies and I made a few videos about that, but the community, had decided that it was mediums, which I think is correct. And so like my best tank design is, I think, a heavy tank. However, that in like multiplayer, that can be countered. And then in AI games, there's no point to it because you could just use lights. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one thing about the DLC that I wish was a little bit different. I wish you could get the super heavies a year earlier, or if you could get that cannon that's on that tank. I think that would completely change that balance to heavies. You are right, because the problem with heavies in the new meta is like it's a lot easier to get piercing than it is to get armor. So you can out pierce an enemy And so long as you're out piercing them, you're good for that stat. So yeah, if you go into the research tab, I'll show you that. Go to the research tab, go to the tank on the right, super heavy tank, 1943. If you get that in 41, click this. See that big gun there in the middle? Right there. So this,
okay.
I mean, it does kill a lot of your reliability. That piercing, you can slap one of those on a modern tank. If you ever get to like 1945, you want to make the best tank in the game, is slap one of those on a modern tank, and yeah, they'll go ham. They'll kill anything.
Dude, that is, like, look at the resource cost, 5 tungsten.
I mean,
wow.
I mean, it costs money to get the good stuff, right?
Dude, that is wacky. That's really cool.
So it turns out that you're right. It is mediums that are like generally better, unless it's been like, if it's a vanilla mod, they're generally the better way to go, because you can essentially get double the mediums out, or you could get the same amount of mediums and put those resources on air instead.
And you can actually supply them.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah, isn't that a thing?
Supply
Isn't
is
that
so
hilarious?
Yeah.
It was now that we're on this topic, though, I was actually going to ask you about this. What is your other what is another like thing that you'd like changed about the game, or another thing that you think was like a huge mistake coming out in a DLC?
Not change. I don't even want to say it because I really like it. But I think, I don't know, I'm not going to use the word mistake, but I do think that collabs are overpowered, and like if they wanted to, in terms of game balance, they should be nerfed a little bit. But yeah, one thing I would actually really like them to implement and to fix with like the lob resistance stuff is coordinated strikes. I wish they would change that. You didn't need and maybe give them a little bit of a buff in terms of like what they're using, because like right now they don't really do much beyond that. But having a mechanism to actually do a first strike would be really good, you know?
First strike in terms of, I'm sorry, you lost me. Coordinated strike.
Oh, so yeah, if you use them, you probably never use them because they're kind of, no one ever uses them because they're worthless. But coordinated strike, you effectively can double the bombing damage you can do for like the first 2 days. Don't quote me on these numbers. And then if you do a research for it, you can actually quadruple it. So for the first two days in game, you can get like 4 times the bombing with what you have. So if you want to do port strikes, or you want to do just enemy bombings of like airports or something like that, you can do these massive bombing campaigns right at the start of the war. Problem is, it's really finicky because you have to get a war goal first, then you got to do this mission, which takes 3 days or something, and then you got to execute it. And then it's like, and then you get that slight bonus.
Oh, is this a spy thing?
It's a spy thing, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, if you do it in single player, maybe it can kind of be worth it in certain situations. Like if you're declaring on the UK or something and you have range, it's not really worth it anywhere. But it could be a thing. And
well, I think at that point it's just because as you alluded to, the collabs are so powerful.
Yeah, why would you do anything else?
You're so focused on I just need one more collab before war. Mm-hmm. At any mental capacity that you might have to do anything else is gone. That's my experience, at least.
Yeah,
it's just too much. In the spy stuff, the microing the spy stuff, you can do it very quickly. It is a skill that you need to practice, but along with all the other stuff, you kind of get mentally maxed out after a while.
Yeah. Well, what they could do is they could have a little alert that you have a free spy available or something. You could maybe a toggleable option for that. So when you finish a mission, instead of just hearing the paper sound, there was some other notification.
Yeah, it's like,
because I often forget.
How do you hear the paper sound when there's like a gun going off next to your head, like a tat 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 tat? It's like, it's impossible.
Yeah, you're focused on something else entirely, and then you look and it's like, oh, I've had a spy free for a month. Oh my god, that could have been another collab. Oh well.
Everyone in your multiplayer game immediately starts like dogpiling on you. Like, how could you let that month go by? We just lost the game.
I got 2 bad rolls instead, guys. I got 2 15s, not a 30.
Oh, he got captured. You didn't see that.
Yeah, he got captured. That's what happened. Yeah.
We're screwed anyway. I think that Hearts of Iron 4, or they should probably start thinking about Hearts of Iron 5 and how they're going to rewrite the code more friendly to the modders, so that the modders don't have to continually come out with revisions of their mod to even work with the game.
I think they'll always have that issue, even with I'm kind of in the camp of like, I don't know what actually they could improve on that they couldn't just do with what they have now. I suppose I don't really understand I don't have the game engine files. I don't know what that looks like. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think we need a HOI.
Well, if they So you would know more about this. So why I am saying that though is that I am assuming that there could be improvements in the code to make the game not so laggy, because it seems like I got a better computer and HOI4 is just as laggy as it was when I had my Intel i5. So there's got to be something wrong with the program and not the hardware. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Again, I don't really have access to the code. I don't really know what it looks like, but there are certain problems like you have like in programming where it depends on how many times you're doing certain tasks. And the big problem with HOI4 is every hour in the game, there potentially could be, I mean, at the beginning of the game, it's probably around 500 divisions, but by 45, it could be like 2,000. So you have a lot of extra calculations. Every single one of those battles has a bunch of information that's going into it. So if you want to make the game faster, there's a couple things you could do. You can have fewer divisions. You could have fewer, you could make it simpler. So instead of calculating weather, maybe instead of calculating supply, instead of calculating intelligence, you could rip those things out and have a really basic game. But to me, that's kind of what's like what makes HOI4 like versus any other strategy game. So yeah. There may be some things that they can optimize, and maybe there is some value into like looking into that. But I don't really think that a reboot of the franchise or like another value going up is really going to fix that, right? Like if anything, HOI4 it would give us shinier graphics, and and then like we'll start the DLC process all over again, right? We'd get a Victoria 3 or a Crusader Kings 3, right? That's probably what we'd be seeing, but with HOI4, because realistically it's not like restarting would actually fix everything, right? It would just clear the table.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, where was your, when this came out, when they changed the air wings to 100, where are you in that camp? I'm very interested to hear.
I like it. It's simpler. It's very convenient. There's a couple of things that kind of irritate me when you have older fighters and stuff. I wish a lot of them would be a little bit more compatible with the air wings. I don't know if you've noticed this, but like sometimes it'll be like, oh, you've got 10 planes and they won't fit with your other 50 because they're too far of a variant or something. I wish there was they actually kind of dealt with that a little bit better. But otherwise, I kind of like the new air system.
So I am with you. I like it. I've only heard negative things about it.
I don't know why.
People rave up and down about how bad it is. And to your point, if you have a variant that is that far behind, like what we do in multiplayer, competitive multiplayer, you have to not use it or delete it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to waste manpower because it's just going to get shot down immediately. So you want to use the best variant anyway. So I thought it was genius. And then all I see is comments that are negative about it. It's so weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose I don't think I've actually seen too many. I've seen people complaining, but like nothing's like substantial. Like maybe that's a good reason for it, but maybe that's a reason. That's a thing you can leave in a comment below.
Exactly.
Tell us why you don't like the new air system.
Well, let's get into another controversial topic. So to me, after By Blood Alone came out, the game became much laggier. How would you...
I haven't really noticed.
Really? I noticed it when I was playing, but if this is correct, and now you're more technologically savvy than I am, if we made the focus trees less vast, would that improve the game speed?
I don't. I think that's probably one of the smallest things. The big thing is it's all the calculations that happen. That's probably the part that's slowing most people's computers down. That and the 3D graphics. But the 3D graphics are kind of like meh, right? Like they're not super crazy. So if you've got a graphics card that's like newer than 2015, you're probably perfectly fine. Yeah, see, like those 3D models will do a little bit. Like that train has some polygons that are calculated, but it's not a lot. And then the big thing is it's all the battles that are happening and everything. Like think about when does the game get like if you're playing at 44, you've got a huge front, the game just chugs.
Yes, that is correct, but I hit the speed bumps, like, because early war I like to go speed 5. So I guess maybe this is Uptown problems, because probably not everyone plays at speed 5, but on speed 5 about every other day you get a very noticeable, like, things freeze for a second, then get really fast.
Yeah,
before
so there might
the wars start.
Yeah, there might be something there where like it's saving something maybe too frequently or something, or there may be things to that. Do you play on an SSD?
Yes.
Do you have your game files on an SSD? Okay, yeah. That might be a problem sometimes for some people, because when you do save, there will be like a little thing where it hiccups. So there may be some sort of like momentarily big calculation that has to happen, and sometimes saving stuff is the issue.
What if you're on Iron
Yeah.
Man mode though?
Yeah, but I mean, sucks to suck, right? Like, I'm sorry, you just got to put up with it, right?
Yeah, I guess, what my fear is that we've had so many iterations, so many different DLCs, and we're so far removed from where we started from. If there is complexity added to the game, and that is causing issues with gameplay. That's my fear with Hearts of Iron 4 right now. I would like better gameplay, like less laggy, take out some of the countries, perhaps offer a HOI4 Lite, so a game mode.
Yeah.
We all have all these wants and desires, but they can't feasibly be done. But go ahead.
A big thing that you see a lot of mods do this, will they'll remove countries. I think an option for like in default have like you said, like a light version where maybe only focus on one theater or something like that might be quite beneficial to some people. One thing that I think that they could do, and I do want to flesh this idea out in like a video at some point in the future, but having a deployment system. So right now we have all the units deployed in the field. And so the AI will occasionally do calculations on those units, right? You see them move, right? Every now and then. And like if the US isn't in the war, why does it have to have stuff deployed, right? Like why couldn't have maybe something where it was like, if the war started, there are garrisons on this tile, so you could spawn a tile, like a unit on that tile instantly with its experience, right? Having such a system where all the countries that are not at war don't have to have units out. You know what I mean? That could just be in one file that has like some sort of information or some portion of the code or whatever, and have that spawn in when it's actually needed by the AI, instead of actually having the AI go through and do that. Like, oh, does this country need to move any units? Or whatever it does, right? Maybe removing that from that calculation might improve things.
See, now this sounds revolutionary. Like this is HOI5.
Now, see, I don't know how much of a benefit that actually would provide, but to me, that's sort of like the line of reasoning you would have to like think about when you want to improve the game, like improve performance in the game.
Don't the mods do that? Like
for the maps, yeah. You can get mods that will remove like South America or like the Middle East, right? Because it doesn't have a huge impact. I know a lot of MP mods do that. Like Bogs MP is the one that I tend to play quite often. Or like the Chat House mod that I played yesterday. That's based off of Bogs. They basically take all the countries and just remove them, right? And then all the countries that are not important, they remove them, and like the Baltics aren't in there, right? So when the Soviets want to annex that territory, it's just like in the code where it's like you get Estonia, you get Latvia, you get Lithuania, and you get like set amount of guns or whatever. And it just goes from like a blank country to your territory.
Yeah, I guess what I'm really asking for is just a tailored multiplayer mode. And then I know that the modders can do what you're talking about, because I've been in games and then we've like tag switched or whatever because of whatever weird reason. And it was like, well, the France divisions haven't spawned yet because it's not like 39.
Yeah.
And it was in the rule set of the mod that like France doesn't have divisions until
39. Yeah.
3 months before the war, which made everything run really fast and smooth. So yeah, that sounds like
if there was an actual mechanic for something like that, instead of having just like modders coming in and spawn those units, then I think that might be a helpful thing.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. Or yeah, there's a bunch of things I could think of where you could set up rules where if you're playing historically and you're not going to attack before 39, that you could utilize what you just said and speed up the early war. That would be the pre-war process. I think that would be much desired. Well, I think that's going to be it for this podcast. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about or plug before we take off here?
No, not a whole lot for me. But if you're new to Hearts of Iron 4 and you want to learn how to play the game, check out my channel, Pydgin on YouTube, PYDGIN. And yeah, I'll look out for new content coming soon.
Also streams on Twitch.
I do also stream on Twitch, Saturdays, 2 p.m. Eastern.
And it looks like you have a Discord and a TikTok as well, and a Twitter.
And a Twitter. Yes, I do. I barely touch TikTok because I don't understand it. I thought when I made that I could just upload my videos and they don't get views there.
Yes, because you are in North America and You have educational content, and that's
Oh, is
not
that the
what
problem?
TikTok does in North America, I hear.
See, I don't understand it. It feels like a thing for people who are a little bit younger than me.
Yeah, I just hear that it's different in other countries than it is in North America, like what is actually pushed and viewed and how they tailor the website. So I've had the same experience. It's like, I'm going to put an educational video up here, and yeah, it falls flat on its face. All right, man. You have a good night. I know it's late where you're at, and thanks for doing this with me. And DM me anytime if you want to do a collab or play multiplayer together, or
yeah, for sure.
You know, whatever you want to do, man.
It's unfortunate you couldn't come yesterday, but yeah.
Oh, man.
I know it was a little bit early for you.
There is no early, there is no late. It just depends on if my time is already soaked up with everything else. You know how it is. All right, man. Have a good night.
Yeah. Talk to you later.